Hello, welcome to 8.9 News. I'm Costain. The Usk Catchment Partnership is running a green finance webinar to understand how private finance and nature markets can support the implementation of river recovery plans. I spoke to Eleanor Kean from the Usk Catchment Partnership and I asked her about the current state of nature markets in Wales.
So there's a feeling that they're a bit less developed in Wales than in England and Scotland, perhaps. We hear a lot about nature finance or natural capital, green finance. And in the Usk Catchment Partnership, we've heard from our partners, particularly land managers or those who are working closely with them, that they are perhaps looking over the border and asking questions about what's happening in Wales. They're keen and they're interested, recognising a need for it, but they want to ensure high principles in Wales. That's really important here. And that any private finance benefits and engages the local communities. So that's why we've brought together this panel discussion, because it's an emerging field, really, and we want to bring in some expertise from elsewhere to help guide our discussions about what we might want to do in the Usk Catchment.
So why are nature markets as such relevant to the Usk Catchment Partnership?
The Usk Catchment Partnership is a Welsh Government-sponsored initiative, initially with quite a narrow focus, looking at phosphorus improvement. So we need to develop a nutrient management plan. We bring together statutory bodies and other interested parties like land managers or citizen scientists with a shared aim to restore the ecological health and resilience of the Usk River. Any plan that we come up with needs to be actionable. It's not good enough to just come up with a plan, is it? We need to know how we're going to action that. And so it's an obvious question, how are we going to fund any interventions that benefit nature and the local communities?
So is this about finding ways to build greater capacity with private nature market funding supplementing what's going to be available to farmers and land managers through the Sustainable Farming Scheme?
So yeah, it's about us as a partnership exploring all of the potential options. We recognise that funding might need to come from lots of different sources, and so we want to explore all our options, and also recognising that a lot of the actions will be carried out by landowners, land managers, and they have questions around that, and so we see ourselves as facilitating a discussion.
Who's on your panel for the Green Finance webinar?
So we've got 5 members on the panel. It's chaired by Simon Lawth-Thomas, who's at Banau Brycheiniog National Park. She's a director there. On the panel, we have Jane Williams from the National Parks Partnership. She's going to talk to us about how across the UK they're unlocking investment for natural capital initiatives, and particularly a case study from Windermere, where they're working with private investment to benefit nature and local communities there. We have Gail Pearce-Taylor from the West Wales Nutrient Management Board. She's been exploring with Welsh Government and others nutrient trading. Simon Evans, who's the CEO of our local Rivers Trust, the Wye and Usk Foundation, and they're looking at developing an Usk catchment market. Jyoti Banerjee from North Star Transition, who are an organisation looking to mobilise private finance to accelerate systems change. So they're looking at big systems change. And Professor Max Mundy, who's a professor of economics from Cardiff University Water Research Institute, whose research interests are really focused around the Welsh economy.
You mentioned national parks and Windermere. What are you hoping to learn from Windermere?
We're really interested in what they're doing there, because obviously that Windermere has had a lot of water quality issues, and we want to learn about how they're unlocking private finance to do initiatives which benefit water. And we understand that there have been some hurdles along the way. So while we like to look across the border and think things are more developed, they perhaps also have struggled along the way, and we can learn from that. You know, if you go to a conference and all you hear is a sales pitch, that's not really what we want to hear. We want to hear, you know, what's worked and what hasn't worked, so that we can learn from them too.
What's the audience for the webinar? Who do you want to sign up?
So initially, this was a partnership discussion. So we were having it around the table with those statutory bodies and other interested parties. And we saw it as widening that out to across the Usk catchment, so to the communities who live and work there. But we realised that probably this is a conversation that's happening in other catchments across Wales, and we started to get interest from other areas across Wales. So really, this is relevant to anybody who has an interest, be they farmers or those working in water or even the economy. It's quite broad ranging, really.
And just finally, how do people register to take part in the discussion?
If they could send us an email requesting to take part, that would be great. The email address is usknowledge@beacons-npa.gov.uk, and I'll make sure you have that written down so you can share it.
That was Eleanor Kean from the Usk Catchment Partnership. More news as ever on our website 8.9.com. That's all for now. We're back soon. Thanks for watching.